Hi. For International Women's Day, I thought I would share some thoughts about mental health and well being, creativity, and inclusivity. Although maybe not inclusivity the way you're used to hearing about inclusivity. Anyway, I'm going to wrap all of those into one thing, or one video at least. But I hear you saying, how do all those things fit together? They don't fit together. We're so used to putting labels on things, putting them into their own boxes and silos, as if they all fit into one category, nice and neat. But they don't. Nothing does. Labels are just that, labels. Sometimes they fit, sometimes they don't. Sometimes everything with that label doesn't have all the same characteristics of everything else. And that's okay. Everything doesn't need to be the same just because it has the same label. Sometimes people understand labels differently because of their backgrounds, their education, their cultural upbringing. So we have to be careful about labels and understand what they mean and what their purpose is. They're probably not 100% fit in most cases, but they can be useful. And so to come back to creativity, inclusivity, health and well-being, and how these all fit together. We've been taught that all these things are different for different purposes, that there's no overlap. But we need to transform that thinking to recognize that there is an overlap, that there are integration points between these things. They're not separate and independent things. They're integrated, part of an integrated whole. And we do this by tapping into our inner artists. Creativity has an impact on our mental health and well-being. It impacts our ability to creatively solve problems, and it just brings us joy and happiness in our lives and our work. More than 10 years ago, I started painting at a leadership workshop. It was one of the activities that we did. And at the time I thought, wow, this is fun. How do I do more of this? I went out and bought paints the next day and started painting. I've been painting ever since. It brings me joy. It brings me new insights. It makes the work I do more fun and enjoyable. It helps us problem solve. And most importantly, it helps me integrate all the different parts of myself. Helps me build relationships and to flourish. Build communities, all kinds of things. There's so many benefits to arts-based interventions in our lives and our work. It helps make everything more sustainable and helps us see the big picture so that we make more sustainable decisions. Last year, I was out of my apartment for more than 6 months due to mold and water damage. It was incredibly stressful. Communication from the landlord and the property management company was pretty much non-existent. Certainly much less than I would have liked or imagined, given the severity of the situation. I've been self-employed for 20 years, so being out of my apartment, my home office, away from my books and my paints and everything that I needed to have access to do my work was incredibly stressful, dysfunctionally stressful. And I ended up buying some watercolors. The pencil crayons and markers I had with me just quite honestly didn't do the trick. So I bought some little watercolors to use. And they got me through. Some days I painted bright, colorful things like this. Just abstract, just representation of how I was feeling on any particular day. And sometimes things were a little darker, like this one. Although you can see some brightness through the dark. I don't know what I would have done without my little watercolors. Thankfully, at the end of January, I was able to move back in and have all my paints and things again. But I'm ever so grateful for my painting practice and the sense of groundedness and well-being that it brought me in the 7.5 months that I was out of my apartment. So that's my offering to you on this International Women's Day. Tap into your inner artist. She's there and will make you whole. Thank you.